had my first helicopter ride on September 4th, 2001. If you've ever seen a film or a TV show that has aerial shots of New York City, it was probably the work of my friend Al Cerullo. He's one of the most skilled helicopter pilots in the world, and is the only pilot who is allowed to fly his commercial helicopter over Manhattan since 9/11. On that September day, he had just finished a shoot for a television commercial, and he invited me up for a spectacular private tour of the city from the air. We flew over all the boroughs, but the highlight, of course, was over Manhattan. Times Square, Central Park, the Statue of Liberty, the Brooklyn Bridge. At one point, we flew in a circle around the World Trade Center, both towers gleaming in the orange glow of a setting sun. We were close enough to see the people working in the offices, people dining in windows on the world. I remember commenting to Al that they were so lucky to have such a perspective to look out upon their windows. The view could inspire them, give them reason to dream about an ideal world. In the film world, when filmmakers aim their cameras from such a high place downward, it's called a God's eye shot, because you can see it all in one look, like God does. Al considers himself so lucky to have a job that gives him a seat above the jewel of a city in which we live. And that allows him to make movies that help us see things we can't always see. A week later, he was on his way to another aerial shoot in Manhattan, but was told to turn around and return to the airport in Long Island. There was an incident occurring near the heliport at the Battery where he was going to land. And within an hour, there was a huge, ugly cloud of smoke staining the beautiful blue skies over lower Manhattan. In the weeks and months afterwards, my first helicopter flight took on a greater meaning for me as I tried to make sense of the ugly wound that had scarred my beloved New York. Like Al, like the women and men who worked in the Twin Towers, I had been given a view of the city and the world that I think God sees. This incredibly complex, beautiful creation, which is home to billions and billions of people just like us. I'm talking about the whole world now. But many of whom are often blind to the gift we are given in one another. Down there, I knew, was the miracle of each one of us holy, and each one broken in sin. St. Paul reminds us to put aside the sins of our passion and our greed and our anger, to instead seek what is above in Christ. And he reminds us that from God's point of view, here, there is neither Greek, nor Jew, nor Democrat, nor Republican, or male, female, or gay, or straight, or Christian, or Muslim, or terrorist, or peacemaker. From God's point of view, Christ is in all and all. And all of it, all of us, are held together like thin wires together. In this incredibly constructed jewel of a city are people just like us, people who dream of impossibilities and sometimes make them real. People like us who triumph and fail in our efforts, who love and hate, who build and destroy, who sin against one another and against God, and who are loved every second of their unique lives by the one who knew us before we knew ourselves. A few days ago, we heard the gospel where Jesus just come down from the top of the mountain where he was praying. He was getting the God perspective that enabled him to choose his 12 apostles. I'm sure he looked upon the valleys, the plains, the seashore, off in the distance, and saw the villages where families struggled with the daily challenges of life. The Greek word for sent is apostoline. He was going to send his apostles to all of that, to all of them, to all of us, with a word of hope. Blessed are the poor and the hungry and the weeping, those who are hated, excluded, insulted, and denounced because of their faith in God's love. It's the mission of each and every one of us to share that hope with a world that is so divided and still so broken. With a God's eye view, Jesus invites us to join him in restoring the world that has been damaged and broken. We're sent today. We are sent today to heal and forgive and bless and to love even the most unlovable. This is our mission. And if not us to do it, who else will?